Depending on the specialization, each type of ships in our game has common directions on the maps. Open water is a strong suit of battleships and long-range cruisers. Adepts of close-range encounters prefer to stick to islands close to key areas in the vicinity of the opponent's main attack directions. Light and rapid-firing cruisers tend to prefer clusters of islands. The same can be said about destroyers. By the way, the latter feel great in open water, especially those mostly focusing on using torpedoes. Aircraft carriers usually stay behind the main forces. In battle, however, to attack more frequently, this type of ship tries to get closer to the opponent to reduce the time it takes aircraft to reach the target. There are places on maps where a ship can be most effective, or where her presence can be extremely useful for allies. In this section, we'll talk about such places. Our game has more than 30 maps, each designed for a certain tier of battles. We flashed the topic out in our video, How It Works, Matchmaker. For example, one of the oldest maps in the game, Big Race, hosts Tier 3 to 5 battles. Tears of the Desert pits Tier 9 to 10 ships, as well as Tier 10 ships and super ships. So we'll disclose interesting places on the maps as the battle tier goes up. Although Polar and Islands maps look curious, they are more of a testing ground. Here, players helming Tier 1 to 3 ships are learning how to use their main armament and navigate their ships rather than diving into tactical features. The first interesting places you encounter are on the maps designed for Tier 3 to 5 battles. Archipelago. There is an archipelago in the center of the map, 4 large islands that make some kind of arena from Key Area B in the domination mode. When playing a destroyer, you can slightly hold off capturing a key area or fighting same type ships in this improvised arena. Wait for your torpedoes to reload and try to launch them into the narrow strait between the islands. This way, an opponent who decided to engage in a duel will get an unexpected torpedo surprise from you. When playing on a cruiser, you can support Allied destroyers that decide to navigate to the map center. You can do this while being near one of the 4 islands. Don't forget about the mentioned torpedo threat and battleships that can deal a lot of damage to your cruiser. A number of islands on Archipelago can serve as spots for an ambush. Covered by these areas of land, destroyers and cruisers equipped with torpedoes will be able to attack heavy opposing forces that are sailing in open water. Big Race. There are several interesting positions on the Big Race map as well. For example, cruisers can control the bay mouth. The bay itself is another arena for fast destroyer battles. There are 3 small islands here that can serve as a cover or ambush spot. A protruding piece of land on the map can serve as a secluded spot for aircraft carriers. But you need to move there only in certain cases, in case of danger from lines 9 to 10 or in the presence of ships that regularly spot your aircraft carrier. Taking these positions, remember about the bay, or rather the opponents that can break through in this direction and quickly spot you. The Solomon Islands is the next map in our video. The key spot here is the strait between the 3 islands in its center. Of course, no one forbids you to advance on a destroyer or cruiser into this strait from the start, but keep in mind that there is a risk of meeting superior opponent forces. That's why we recommend you position yourself near the strait to meet the opposing ships with torpedoes or main caliber guns. also less obvious positions on the Solomon Islands map. A large island is cut by a small river, forming a gorge. Therefore, nearby battleships and cruisers can shoot across and thus reach their enemies on the other side of the island. You can also get close to the large island if you're playing on an aircraft carrier. At the beginning of this video, we've mentioned that such a maneuver will reduce the time it takes aircraft to reach the target and will allow you to attack your opponents more frequently. When changing your position, make sure that you can't be detected by opponents who have broken through from the flank or through the central strait. Just like Archipelago, the Solomon Islands also has ambush spots. Ships equipped with torpedoes can lurk near large islands next to open water, which heavy opposing forces can decide to cross. In the next episode, we'll take a look at useful positions on higher tier maps: Strait, Ring, New Dawn, and Fault Line. Until next time, Captains.